Oh, yes. This is the Hardcore Marketing Show. I'm Casey Cheshire, your host for this epic journey. And today's show, sponsored by Cheshire Impact, on a mission to help people maximize their use of Pardot and Salesforce. CheshireImpact.com. Bam. All right, there it is. Man, this is going to be a good one. I'm stoked. I've had to wait for a long time. This guy's very popular. We've had to schedule this one out, and it's finally here. Who is this mysterious guest, Casey? Who are you going to introduce me to? He is a marketing thought leader, specializing in many things, including RevOps, demand gen, and quite honestly, one of my favorite marketing influencers on LinkedIn. He is all over LinkedIn. Like 10 times what I am. I love following him, commenting on his stuff. He's very engaged. And so I wanted to have him come on here, learn from him as well, and we can all learn together. Former D1 football player. We will talk about that. 4-time Salesforce certified senior manager, marketing operations at Service Titan, Daniel Murray. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good, man. Did I get it all right? Is all that still accurate? You haven't had any certs since we've last talked, have you?
No, actually, just my only certs is just from continue learning.
Yeah.
So those are my only certs these days.
Yeah, right. Just the cert of hard knocks.
Exactly.
just executing. Well, hey, this is our marketing leadership series, talking about LinkedIn, talking about metrics and reporting. So I want to pass you this thing. It's heavy for me, but knowing you play D1, you'll be fine. Okay, here we go. Here's the hammer. You got it, Thor's hammer? All right. Sick. Take Thor's hammer, smash for me some kind of marketing myth, bogus strategy, misconception. Just set the record straight once and for all.
I totally believe that we need to stop having MQLs as a KPI and marketers need to start measuring themselves on revenue and qualified pipeline. I think too many people are using that as a cop-out metric, and I think that revenue and qualified pipeline is the metric to measure marketing off of.
Qualified pipe and revenue. Tell me about the qualified pipe side.
I think that it shows that you're delivering them quality buyers. When it's an MQL, it's just someone that marketing defines as someone that is a good lead, and SQO, sales qualified op, is something that is defined by sales as a qualified buyer. Like they think they could sell to this person. So when you start getting into qualified pipeline, you start working all the way from the top down on how could I have my message deliver better for qualified pipeline? How can I have my sales process better so we can qualify buyers better?
Yeah.
It really helps the whole process when you think about those two metrics instead of thinking about just delivering leads to sales.
You know, it's a tough decision to make because I know SQLs are usually a lot less than MQLs. You know, you may send over 100 MQLs. You're not getting 100 SQLs out of that. Yeah, that and to be clear, that's when sales is saying, yes, there's an opportunity here and they're creating an opportunity. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm talking about.
So that doesn't happen at nearly the numbers, you know, especially if we're looking at trying to just look at vanity metrics like an MQL. Man, it drops down from 100 real quick to maybe 27.
And
LA,
but the problem is what marketers have right now is that they'll deliver, let's say, 1,000 MQLs and say, yeah, I won. But if you go look harder down the funnel, they're converting at like less than 1%.
yeah.
So you've won creating a bad relationship with sales, which is not ever good when you're trying to have a good revenue organization. Two, nothing's closing, so you're not really doing your job. Like your job is to bring in buyers. And three is just people will start overstaffing, overdoing this because you're delivering these leads, but they're not going anywhere. So I rather someone have deliver sales 100 qualified people
Yeah.
that they could sell. They could spend time on closing those people, and they close at like a 40% rate, and then you have like a good solid pipeline, as well as I think what happens also is when you get into that mentality is you have to educate more top of funnel. So you have to deliver content, you have to get to the buyers ready. You actually start investing in content, you start investing in things to get your buyer to the position where they are ready to buy, because most buyers aren't ready to buy when they come to your site the first time.
Yeah.
um, and
Yeah.
then so when you start thinking like, okay, yeah, I have to get my buyers ready, then marketing can start investing in stuff that is one brand related, obviously,
Mhm.
and then two, like better ways to get qualified buyers to the door.
Right. I was doing some math as you're talking because love to bring it up. Like, okay, situation one, you've got 1,000 MQLs, and they only convert to an SQL at like 1%. Only 1% of those 1,000 are valid, are like opportunities, turn into opportunities. And did the math, that's 10. And if my math is wrong, then oh well.
Mhm.
But and then I did 100. Instead of doing 1,000, you do 100, and you do the 40% you're talking about. That's 40. It's more. It's like way more. And I only had to get 100 in, and they were much more highly qualified. And then we didn't have to. And then in the first situation, they had to sort through 990 shitty leads to get to the 10 opportunities. But in the second situation, they only had to sort through 60 that maybe weren't ready yet. So I can see how
Exactly.
you're saying like the teams they'd have to staff up a whole army to deal with your 990 leads that are terrible. Like the MQL game is just no
But
one
it's
wins.
also, it's way easier to convert people, like people into, but they could see an ad that they're
Mhm.
not even ready, they'll convert.
Yep.
They Some people like say that they don't deliver the ad, and then my worst is when companies deliver unready content leads or content downloads or stuff to people. It's just pains me because those people are not ready at all to buy, and you're saying sell these people, and one, you're ruining like the reputation of like you're trying to educate and provide value to them until they're ready, and
Yeah.
two, like they're probably going to stop subscribing to your blog, stop subscribing to your content because you're trying to sell them right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate. So that's like, well, they just come get one white paper, one case study, and then you're like, but bam, you're like in their face. That's why people don't fill out forms. They don't want to tell you their phone number. You're going to call them and harass them.
Exactly. And I think like I'm also a big fan of like ungating most content. I think some might
Interesting.
be like, I think the content, the buyers of today are ready when they come to your website and fill out a demo request form. They are already ready to buy.
Mm-hmm.
They've done their research. They've probably a typical buyer, and this is, we probably have the same thing because we buy software, right? So when I buy a new software, what I first do is I'll go Google what is the best software, and then I'll probably land at like Software Advice or G2,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll go and research the site and see like, okay, which ones are better. I then will go ask a marketing person like, hey, have you used the software, what do you think about it?
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll read some more articles on like why this is needed so I can build a case for internally for this.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time I'm filling out a demo request form, all I want to do is buy. And um, if you put all these roadblocks in the way for me to buy, like I'm not going to buy. Like that's like the whole thing about it. If I have to go and give me my number to or email to go get a piece of content, like that's getting in the way from me researching your product.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's that whole chicken the egg thing with, do we want to capture the lead, or do we want to let these people get educated and so maybe they can become a customer down the line? It's a tough
mhm.
call.
It is a really tough call, and I think one of the problems is that there's the capturing the lead part, but that you already will have like subscribe to blog and stuff like that. There's already those CTAs that if they want to get more content from you, like here it is.
Hmm.
And once they've driven to your site already, every site that I at least B2B site is plastered with get a demo,
Hmm.
request a free trial. So if they really wanted it, they would press that button. If
Right.
they really wanted it, they would press request the demo.
Right. But demos are that's a its own experience unto itself. Usually
Yeah.
demos suck, you know, like I don't know. I don't have you been on any good demos lately?
Um, I think one of the best demos I've ever been on was Outreach,
Okay.
because the reason why I say it's one of the best demos I've ever been on is because um, they like took like all like my metrics and they made like a customized deck to show like how I would grow with like Outreach. This was my old company, but they took like the whole
Hmm.
like all like how many MQLs we're doing, how many like ops we're doing, how much like deals that we're doing, and they would show like how they can increase it and how like through like their personalized deck. Like most demos are just like showing you the product. Like they showed what I my pain points and how they could solve it
Hmm.
with their product. And I think that was the difference between like a good demo and a bad demo is like you taking someone's initial pains and saying like this is the couple of features that I can solve your pains with, and this is the future state of like what you will be doing, what will be happening. So
They took time to just make that a little more customized to you.
mhm.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's so surprising when people actually do that because you're like, oh, okay, yeah, let me hear more about that, you know, as opposed to, oh God, it's just somebody. Nobody wants to present that anyways. The people don't want to present the same thing 90 times, and you don't want to see something they presented 90 times. We want to see something custom and tailored to what we're doing. Like
Mhm.
speak to
And
the buyer, you know.
like for example, like I'm buying Marketo, for example. Like let's say if I'm going to buy
Oh, you can't buy
Marketo,
Marketo. You gotta buy Pardot.
yeah,
Can you buy Pardot in this example?
okay, I'm
All
buying
right,
Pardot. Okay,
all right.
they're probably they're probably part of it has different tiers of like
Sure.
what's better for me, right? But there are some features in Pardot that I probably wouldn't use. And if
Hmm.
you're showing me those features that I wouldn't use, I probably would never buy Pardot. But if you showed me like let's say automation rules and show what automation rules could do to me, or engagement studio and how engagement studio can like easy make your flow better, and like the ones that I really care about instead of like their crappy SEO tool that they have in there.
Hmm.
Like
The little tiny dinky SEO thing.
yeah,
Not
like
really for that. Yeah,
if you
right. If you're
showed
like,
me that.
hey, you, but you know what? But if I asked you, hey, what do you want to know more about? And you're like, man, I love SEO. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. Maybe you don't show them that, but it may, or you, maybe you do. But at least you tailor it to your point.
Well, what I think Pardot does really well is like they and Salesforce in general, they partner with best in class tools. So like
Yeah.
they know like their SEO is not the best, but they'll say like go to SEMrush or
Hmm.
like whatever to like partner and it will connect with Pardot and blah blah blah. But like other tools like HubSpot would say like, oh, we have our best like top of funnel tools. Like those are the differences between like those platforms. But at the end of the day, like what I'm saying is like, show me how you can make my day as a marketer better. Like you could
Yeah.
show me those features like in future state, like when I will be using them, but hone down on the features that I'm going to be using like the most to solve my
Yeah.
problem.
Focus it again, not just sending a bunch of stuff. Same thing. It's like we need to get more focused on all these things, right? Don't send 1,000 MQLs. Send 100. Don't send, you know, don't do these blurry blob demos. Do something really tailored. Like take time, and everyone enjoys it better, right? Like don't do 1,000 demos. Do 100.
And yeah, and it just at the end of the day, like it comes down to like buyer experience and how you can make their buyer experience better. And I think like if you're delivering someone who's ready to buy straight to a salesperson, like the experience is way better. It's not this like someone who's like went to my website and I don't really like they don't
Right.
really care, or saw a Facebook ad that said like get a demo, and they don't know nothing about your company, nothing your product, and then you get in the demo and they say, like, for example, Pardot, they'll be like, "Are you like a Facebook tool or something like that?" And like they don't, when your messaging is bad top of funnel, like they'll be like, nope, we're not a, or like, are you a social media management tool? And they'll be like, nope, we're a marketing automation tool. Like this is what we do. Like, and then you have
Right.
to go into explaining and selling way harder than usual, and it just gets messy.
No, for sure. That's exactly what happens. LinkedIn. Tell me about LinkedIn, man. I when I said the introduction, it was so true. I mean, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you. It seemed like you have like three of you. Do you have like a bunch of people in your house pretending to be you, just all engaging
I
on LinkedIn?
wish. I wish. I actually, so I followed, like, my inspiration for like growing a following on LinkedIn, like not like why I started, but like the person that I look to that has done it well. Like the OG is Gary V.
Right.
Uh, and the reason why I engage so much with my audience is because, like, one, it's good active listening, so you can know what your audience is saying, know what you're doing, so for future posts. So I think that's one of the underrated things of social media is active listening. I think not a lot of people are doing it very well. They don't know what the audience wants. They
Mm-hmm.
say they think they know what the audience wants, but they don't. But that it comes from reading comments and engaging with your audience. So that's one. And Gary Vee used to, when he first started, used to reply to every one of these comments, every one of his like tweet replies, until,
Wow.
so it was like really building an audience is one by one, until
How
you,
how do you find time for that? Do you have to just like chug a Red Bull and just go to town at like 1 a.m. or?
I block time for it. So like I
Yeah.
wake up early to post, and then I have like
Okay.
the first hour of my day, like to respond, and then I'll utilize my like breaks at work. Like I'll be eat lunch, respond to comments, and then after work I'll do it. So I've committed to like um doing it. So like my goal is I have like this thing that I have to respond to like at least 90% of the comments that come in. So
Okay.
um like if I don't do that, I just feel like a lot of people don't do it, and it just feels inauthentic. So I want to
Yeah.
be authentic to myself.
Yeah. So okay, you've committed to it. It sounds like at least three times a day, sort of morning, afternoon, night, or whenever. Probably more than three, but like you have certain times where you're going and you're checking. It's kind of become like a discipline to do that.
Mhm. Yeah. So one of the biggest things I would say to growing a following on LinkedIn is just consistency. I think
Mm,
showing up every day. And I've used this quote a couple of times, but to be good at LinkedIn, you need B plus quality content, with A plus consistency. I think consistency is a good substitute for brilliance. So like if you're showing up every day instead of like posting once a month, like first nobody's going to remember what you posted 2 days
true.
ago, but
True.
they'll remember you showed up that day.
Right.
So you'll be all over their feed. So that's one of my biggest tips is consistency on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I could see that. Not trying to cram it all into one day, not trying to, take the easy. It probably ties into the gym or anything really discipline where it's like you got to be consistent with it. You can't just, I'm gonna do all my tweets and shares today. No, nobody's gonna. No one saw it. You have to be consistently in their feed and
I mean, and I think it's marketing too. Marketing is like a
yeah.
game of momentum. It's like you have
Mm,
to be in front of their face. Um, you have to be top of mind. Like the first to mind always wins. So like that's like, and LinkedIn to me is just like, if you know marketing, you can be good at LinkedIn. Just plain and simple. Like
yeah.
it's copywriting, like know how to structure a post. It's like knowing how to engage with an audience. It's knowing how to active listen. It's knowing And in the forefront is like knowing what your audience wants. Like that's marketing 101, is like know your audience.
Right. So maybe some tactical, practical tips then. You post every morning?
Yeah.
And is that a
And
post? Like, what do you
the
just making a like just like a quick share? I mean, I see some cool things like tips on books and stuff that are featured, but what are you doing every morning to kind of put yourself out there?
So what I do, I write post, I pre-write posts, so I block off time to write posts. But I
Okay.
also, every single time I hear something cool or hear something, I'll put it in the notes in my phone, so it comes up like an idea that I can use for a post.
Yeah.
So if I see like listen to a cool podcast, or I read a good book, or I'm in a good conversation with a good marketer, I will write down like things that I think is interesting so I can use it later. Then I'll write my post, and then every like morning I post, because I don't want to do it during work hours, so I just
Yeah, fair
post in the
enough.
morning. I i I get in I early, just because it's beginning of the day. I don't think there's necessarily the best time. I wouldn't say like 6:22 a.m. is the best time to post. Like I don't know, I just
Right.
post in the morning because it works for me. And then I post sometimes at lunch, twice a day at lunch, or like after work, like whenever if I want to post 2 times a day, if I
Yeah.
find like interesting content. But um, it's just really like having that discipline. Like I know every morning I'm going to post. Like that's just in my head. I'm going to post every morning. But it's also, I think one thing, you can post every day and not grow because your content sucks. So like you always have to have like content that resonates. You have to write your post in a way that people can easily digest it.
Yeah.
Have one idea per post, like keep it simple. Like, I think there's like a lot of things that, if you look at the best on LinkedIn, I
Hmm.
mean, just study them. Like you can be good at LinkedIn.
Hmm.
Just like, and I think that about marketing too. Like I think like if you study the best copywriters, you can become the best copywriters. I think reinventing the wheel is not the best way to do it. It's a lot of time suck. I think like you could reinvent the wheel, just innovate on the wheel that already exists. Like
Right.
is my key.
Yeah. One idea proposed, keep it simple. I had a question that came from that. If you're trying to be consistent, now you're posting every day. Sounds like you've got this like list in your mind of like things that resonate with you, because I think wouldn't the temptation be to just start writing worse stuff, like just kind of shoveling bullshit if you're trying to feed a machine? I feel like a lot of marketers fall into that trap. It's like, okay, I'm gonna blog every day, then the blog posts decline. They're not as good. But in this case, like a post on LinkedIn, how do you keep it real? I mean, people are always commenting. I mean, I love your things. You had a thing on people to follow. You had one post you had was like, yeah, Harvard, good call, charging full price, weirdos. Like you can't do that virtually. It doesn't make any sense. You don't need to go to college. Here's a bunch of great books, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, I have to send you mine, so one day I'll make that list. Um, but yeah, like that was valuable to people, and they were commenting that way. I mean, not every post is a super winner, but how do you keep it fresh?
One is I repurpose a lot.
Okay.
Uh, so like I'll take posts that were successful and just tweak it. So I think like
Oh.
my posts that were successful, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
yeah. Oh, no.
tweak it.
Right. So that book,
Two,
like a book thing, may have been in different way. Because you're right. Is it kind of like Twitter where it's gone after a day? No one's gonna
well,
read it again.
I said it earlier, like I think a lot of people have ego that people remember what they posted a week ago. Um,
Yeah.
but they don't. So like I repost them, and also while your audience grows, there's a lot of people who didn't see those prior posts. So um, one is repurposing. I think is like a key to like not burning yourself out in writing content.
Yeah.
Two is the note thing that I say, or a swipe file or something that you keep in your phone. Like you think it's a cool idea, so like you could post about that, and probably other people will think it's cool too, if you're in that. And second, I mean, thirdly, I would say it's active listening. Like if someone will comment on my post like, hey, what are some cool podcasts, and if I see that like 4 or 5 times, I'll write a post about it because I know people are interested in that topic. Or um, if I see like a common trend on LinkedIn, like copywriting, I'll start posting about more of like copywriting stuff, like to like, because the audience is wanting that. Like
Hmm.
they, or if I see gaps that people are not posting about, I'll post about those gaps to fill them, to fill that void.
I love it, man. It's good stuff. I had never really thought about that, but it's so true that the little egos in the back of our heads going, people will remember everything you said. Like, no,
It's
they
also
won't.
like advertisers, right? So like you have an ad that was successful a year ago, and
Yeah,
like people won't reuse the ad when it worked prior. So like, why not just
why
like
not?
you repurpose it, like because it was working? I mean, there is a point where it gets ad fatigue, but then
Right.
you can always revamp that campaign and do it again. I think like a lot of the time is people are always trying to reinvent the wheel instead of like just reusing, repurposing, remixing stuff. Like you can
Yeah.
even remix like other people's popular posts,
Hmm.
like and come up with your own twist to it. So
Sure.
like, so it's like famous artists do this all the time, and that's why they're like successful. Like artists out there, like they will remix songs and they put it on their stuff. They're like on their album, like, and they'll just like shout out the person who came up with the original idea. They will like say like, okay,
Yeah.
this is the song. Here's like my remix to the song. And that's the same as content. It's like you can remix content and make it your own, but the one advice I have is just don't plagiarize it.
Yeah.
Just innovate on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Put your spin on it, your flavor on it. That, oh man, that is, it's such a good point about ads not being reused, but the good ones are. When you mentioned that, I was thinking of like the Old Spice guy riding a horse. And I don't know.
Hmm.
I remember the old, like
Yeah, I
when
remember.
it was like, it was awesome. Bring that guy back. What's he doing?
And I also think in like marketing automation too, right? I think that what market like some marketing automation people want to like come up with this like cool new process when you
Mm,
can really like funnel hack the best and like save so much time. Like there are so many people who have nailed down their like sales funnel that if you go and like look at their sales funnel and look at their landing page, their form, their thank you email, their follow up, like you can use that same format as your own, and you've saved so much time that you would have spent like building and testing and seeing if it works.
yeah.
So.
Yeah. Coca-Cola did that, right? They used to, every year they'd have the horses playing football or the Clydesdale. That's Budweiser. But no, they did like horses playing. I don't know. They're one of those beverages kept bringing that stuff back, and I was like, yeah, it's Christmas season. Okay, in come the Clydesdales, in come the horses playing football, and all that.
Hmm. Yeah, it's just reusing and remixing
Yeah.
existing content. I think that's like a underrated skill that a lot of people do. Like for example, this podcast right now, you could probably chop it up, make a blog post,
Yep.
make a LinkedIn post, make a actually 10 LinkedIn posts out of it.
Sure.
You can make like an Instagram post. You can make a bunch of things out of a YouTube video. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all especially we don't talk about just one topic here. We talk about like a bunch of different things. So each thing can be another subgroup of a whole bunch of clips and posts and articles and tweets and
Mhm.
yeah.
It's also learning the platform. I think one is like one is like learning how to remix content, but also like the next is like learning how to distribute it on those type of platforms and what
Yeah.
works best on those type of platforms. Because great marketing doesn't feel like marketing. So like you have to fit into a feed. Like you have to feel like it's native. You have to feel like it's like something that someone is like stumbling upon every single day. And that's why so many people say you have to entertain with your posts. You have to provide value. You have to like add some humor because like you're you're taking someone's attention. So you're trying to earn their attention. So like um don't blow it by doing something that's boring and not perfect to a feed and not something that feels like that they want to consume it. Like you're otherwise you're just hijacking and wasting time of your
Right.
audience.
Man, if I was looking for a short video clip to quote you on to drop on LinkedIn, that's probably it, man. So meta. um, Great marketing doesn't feel like marketing, it doesn't feel like a distraction. It fits the type of platform it's in. That's awesome. That is really cool. My question for you now is like, why? And it sounds like you're doing it out of work hours, so it's not like you're necessarily propping up your own company, though you'll probably raise them up just from the sheer fact that you're a giant. So why do all that? You're spending a lot of time doing all this LinkedIn. Like what's in it for you?
I think the biggest thing one is learning. I'm
Mm.
learning a lot.
Oh, no
So
kidding.
I'm
Okay.
learning how to copyright. I'm learning how to like build an audience. I'm networking. So I'm building like relationships with people that I haven't been with. And I think one of the coolest thing that I think that has come out of this is like I've met people that I would have probably never talked to if I never posted on LinkedIn once. Like you
Mm,
probably I would never have met.
sure. Yeah,
I've
yeah.
I would have never met like some of these like top marketers that I talk to now. Like I would never have like I probably this is also helping me learn faster because I'm like thinking what is some cool things that I can learn today that I could share with my audience. What is some things that I can learn from others today that I could what are some things I can listen to that I can just like consume myself. I think it's like made me a better marketer too. It's also boosted up my personal brand. I think one thing that people, I think everybody should build a personal brand. I think like it, I think it's the new resume, a personal brand. I think like especially when you get further in your career, like your personal brand becomes like your resume. It's like people are gonna say work with this person. People are gonna see your LinkedIn and say like, oh, he knows his like shit, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I that's like the kind of what I got from it. But when I first started, it was just to like learn because I heard that like organic reach on LinkedIn is huge. So I just wanted to learn the platform.
Yeah.
Um, and it got into something that became a passion, and I didn't think it was going to become a passion.
Got it. Got it. So right. So you're just sort of trying something out, trying to learn, just pushing on different things to see what would happen. And really, it's kind of revealed itself to be like a thing. It sounds like you're having fun doing it too.
I'm definitely having fun doing it. I have like a fascination with like social media and
Mm,
building audiences and um like I've been following like top influencers and seeing how they do it. I think it's like a really cool thing in my book. So I mean, I just have fun doing it and I think I have fun like learning from others and helping other people like grow as marketers. I think it's the best way to like I think the best way to grow is just give all your knowledge away for free and ask for nothing in return. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm giving everything away that I know and everything I learn and saying here, like take it and use it for yourselves.
right. It's very giving. You're not, I mean, do you have like a course or anything? I mean, it's not like you can really, are you selling anything that you have, right? It's
No,
just
I
that
mean
brand.
I'm starting to grow a little bit, so I'm going to be launching a podcast soon. So
Hell
that
yeah, you should launch a podcast, dude. Hell yeah.
yeah, so I'm launching a podcast soon. It's in the works. I've already recorded a couple episodes, so that'll be launching soon. I don't have a date, but it is launching soon.
Are you,
Uh,
is it like just you talking? Is it you talking to
no,
someone
it's with a
else? What kind of,
co-host too. It's with one of my friends I work with at my one of my old companies. We're gonna launch like a marketing podcast and just
hell
bring on
yeah.
marketers. It's gonna just be like a no BS conversation with like
Right.
top marketers.
I think more people should do that, man. I love consuming content that way, out running or mowing the lawn or whatever, going for a walk in between meetings. Just great to put on some people talking. I love the dialogue too, so that's cool. You're connecting up with a friend and you're gonna both sort of jiving off each other like that. That's the best way to do it for sure.
Yeah, and I have some guests that are coming on that are pretty cool. Like I've already recorded like three. guests that are pretty awesome. I'm not going to name them yet, but
You're not gonna name drop some names so people get it. Do you have a URL for it yet?
it's live, but I don't recommend anybody go. This episode 0 is live, but I pre-launched it so I can launch all 5 episodes
So this
beforehand.
may come out like 2 weeks from now. So do you think two
Yeah,
weeks from now stuff will be up and out? And
exactly. It probably will be up in the next 2 weeks to a month. That'll be all those episodes will
all
be
right.
up.
So like, what's the URL? Do you want to just throw it out there real quick so we can get people?
Yeah, well, the podcast is called The Marketing Millennials.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it's on Spotify and iTunes and all the major platforms right now. It's just like the the first episode 0 is just me and my co-host Emily Ferguson just talking. Um, but this is the
Do
first
you
time
have
I
like a
talked about
URL
it.
people can go to, or so they just search for marketing millennials
Marketing,
on?
the Marketing Millennials. Yeah, I don't have a URL of it
Okay.
yet. I mean, it's on Spotify and
What are you
iTunes,
hosting it on?
Anchor.
Anchor. Nice. Cool.
Yeah, so I just like started a couple weeks ago, and I've just been recording. My plan is like kind of the Russell Brunson plan of how to launch a podcast is like you launch episode 0 and don't tell anybody, and then drop like 4 or 5 episodes so people could binge it. So that's my goal. So I want people to go on the podcast and say like, here's a topic about copywriting, here's a topic about content, here's a topic about
Yeah.
podcasting, here's a topic about like this type of marketing, and then they can binge whatever they want to binge, instead of like hating the first episode and being like, I don't want to listen anymore.
Right. Right.
But the first episode is pretty dope. So we'll I think people.
What's the first episode about? What you guys chatting about?
Well, the episode 0 is just me and my co-host just explaining our backgrounds and how we got into marketing and like our thoughts on marketing a little bit, and then how we're gonna have some guests coming on.
Nice. Kind of like sets the stage for everything to come.
Yeah, it's just the episode, like a pre-launch episode, basically, of like just what you're gonna get in from this podcast, pretty much.
Sick. Sick. Well, I will stay tuned to that. If you get a URL before, or we could even if you send me the Spotify URL or whatnot, we can put that in the show notes for this show. So people listening now, they can just go to the notes and just click right through.
Yeah,
Right over yours.
I could definitely send all like the shop, the Spotify, the iTunes, and all those. Like, I'm also building a website for it right now.
Yeah. Perfect.
So
Perfect.
yeah, it's in the works.
Sweet. Sweet, man. It all starts with episode 0. You know,
Mhm.
I kind of like you with the LinkedIn. You'll probably love the podcasting too. I just found that podcasting was just like my jam. I started out doing it just because I was like, man, I got to write a bunch of content. I don't really want to write a bunch of content. And honestly, I was in like the old method too. I would be writing like epic, articles on LinkedIn, and it was just like all this work and wasn't really, I was like, oh man, maybe I should just talk, do a podcast. And then I realized I loved it because like you, I learn on these things. This is my school, this is my
Mhm.
research. This is my $50,000 Harvard education right here, is just talking to really smart people.
But also, it's cool because like the key, and I think like going back to Gary Vee again,
Yeah.
he's saying like when you're creating content, create content of what like you're good at doing, right? So
Yeah.
like he's really good at talking in videos. Like he hates writing. Like
Yeah, I believe
and
it.
he has a ghostwriter doing it for him. He'll talk and the ghostwriter will write an article for him. So like stick to like your lane of like what you're
It's a
good
good
at. If
call.
you're good at all 3, go ahead. That's why people always ask me like, why don't you post videos and audio on LinkedIn? And I honestly say like, I like the writing part better. Like I don't want to be on video yet. Like I don't want to do audio yet, but I guess I'm doing audio now with the podcast. But I just felt like at the beginning I was better at writing than I was at talking. I think I've got better at talking by just doing more like interviews and podcasts. But I really just think that you found like your first avenue is better to be podcasting, which I think that's an awesome way to do it. It's just like create content on what you're good at first, and then you can like
Right.
expand.
Okay. Yeah. Huh. It's wise words, man. Wise words. Where do you think this is all going? We got COVID, we got all sorts of craziness happening. We're all getting virtual, if not already. Do you is there anything coming around the bend that you're excited about? Is there any kind of opportunities that you're keeping your eye on?
I think like we're actually in one of the biggest opportunities in human history right now as like people there are going to be people who come out of here with like full-fledged businesses, and there's going to be people who wasted this time being virtual.
Mm,
I think that like for me, like if I didn't have, and I think COVID's a horrible thing, and I think virtual being like this whole pandemic was horrible, but I think if it didn't happen, like I wouldn't have built my LinkedIn audience the way I did. Like I wouldn't have started podcasting, and I wouldn't have like seized the opportunity to do that type of thing.
right.
I think like that is like something that like these next couple months are crucial for like people who want to like, because you're virtual, like you could do anything from anywhere right now, so it's like just start something. Like you can, and if it doesn't work it doesn't work, but like this is like literally the, when are you going to have this much time at home again? Like never, probably, after this pandemic, unless something happens again in 60 years, praying it doesn't, but like that's never, I don't think it's going to happen for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that being the case. You gotta just kind of roll with it and stay nimble. It's definitely a virtual world now.
It really is, and I think people just have to get used to it. I think that's like innovate. This is, I mean, it's also like marketing in general. Is like people who know how to innovate at crucial times. Like is like what separates like companies that know how to pivot. Companies that know, like who would have thought that like Zoom would have exploded, like their stock would have exploded like 5 months ago. It was just like this platform that you're talking to someone for some meetings. Some people will be remote.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to be a platform that was going to like gain 400x in their stock. Like it
Right.
was just going to be just an average like platform, right? Like Slack too. Like Slack has become like a crucial thing because it's a good remote tool. It's like these tools like, but there's also businesses that are like pivoting, that are like doing, for example, like at Service Titan, we're doing contentless like services. So like if they,
Yeah.
in our product, like if a plumber comes to your house, like our software now like lets everything be contactless, where that you can sign the forms contactless. You can, they don't have to come to your house. They just, in your house, they just take pictures of like the the unit, and they'll say like this is broken, and then they all wear masks. Like there's, you come up and pivot during times like this, and I think those are like what the good companies are doing right now.
Right. Makes sense. Good stuff, dude. Good stuff, man. Who are you? Who are you? Can you like take me back in time to like little Daniel days or whatever they called you when you were like two? You know,
Yeah, so
who are you?
i I so I was born in Johannesburg, South Africa.
No way.
Yeah. So I was born in South Africa, with and my mom immigrated us here when I was 7 years old, to San Diego, California. My mom was always like this entrepreneur. So she had a good big business in South Africa, and she came and started a business in San Diego. And I watched her like be this like single mom growing a business.
Mm-hmm.
After my parents got divorced, like the I watched her do that, and it was an inspiration for me to just like be as successful as she was. So I watched her growing up, working so hard and everything like that. um, and while I was doing that, I was playing sports. So sports has always been my like, was my thing that I was like really good at growing up. Like I wasn't really, I was average at school. Like I was I was like middle of the pack at that, but at school is, I mean, sports is one thing I could have like separated. So I played every sport growing up, but started like going down to one to two sports when I hit high school. Like basketball was actually my sport until I like realized that I couldn't play college basketball because I'm 6'3", but that's not center height in
Mm-hmm.
um, um,
Tall, but
college.
not
So
tall enough.
yeah, basically. So I was like, oh, I could be like a football player in college. I started my freshman year, never played football. And I just remember one of my coaches in high school told me like, "Oh, you can never play D1 football," and I was like, "Okay, let me show you. I could play D1 football."
Really?
So my
It
freshman year,
really
I
said
worked.
like said you'd never be able to do it.
Yeah, it was my freshman year, and I was like, "Okay." So I would go work out twice a day to try get um, like better. Like
Mm-hmm.
my sophomore year, I got a little better. My junior year, I got a lot better, and then my senior year, I just like my junior to senior year, I was just crushing in football, and that's because I put in that extra work. I would go to like workouts at school, and then I would go do workouts by myself. Like after, like I was committed to like that goal of playing Division 1 football, and then finally got a scholarship to play Division 1 football.
Really?
Yeah, a couple out of high school. Eventually, just chose University in Cincinnati. They were doing well at the time when I was there. Um, and football has taught me like so much about like just discipline and hard work and what it takes and like the extra hours because at college football you would wake up at 6 and lift, and then you would go to classes, then you would go to football practice and watch film, and then you go to classes at 6 p.m. and then you would have to
Mm-hmm.
do homework, so your whole day was like stacked with just like you basically were doing a job for 4 years playing football. And then probably when my I transferred to the University of San Diego my like junior year, and I played football there a little bit, and then had an internship at Qualcomm, like because I won a marketing competition in college for it,
Really?
um, and I was like, okay, like I got the internship, and I realized like I really like the tech industry, and I really like marketing, so I also loved marketing from the time I was like working. So my mom working, I worked in her company and saw what she was doing growing up. So I was like, okay, I don't really want. My passion is actually more in like tech and marketing than it is in sports anymore. So I realized that just sports was just my like grounding. It was not something I wanted to be. So I started out of college. I was looking for my first marketing job. I took any marketing job I could find, and it was
Right.
actually like to be like learn Pardot. So I was like a Pardot consultant at a Salesforce partner, um, the Creo Group, and then I did that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I know those
Yeah,
guys.
yeah. So I did that, and then I moved to LA, which was probably the best move because I moved to a startup in LA, and I learned from the CMO there that was just brilliant, like one of the best like marketers I've ever been around.
Yep.
And my manager was one of the best like marketing automation person I've ever been around. So I learned so much there, and then I pivoted to a couple companies, and now I'm at where I am now. But it just was a bunch of learning, a bunch of my path was definitely like non-linear. Like I didn't know I was going to end up here. Like I've always had a fascinated with startups because of my mom and like marketing just because I am inherently more creative than I am just like
Yeah.
I would say like finance is too rigid for me. Like I like experimenting. I like breaking norms where you can't do that in like finance and other like professions. So that's where I led today. And now I'm at Service Titan and running their marketing operations. So it's pretty cool.
Man, it's a whirlwind. It's
Mhm.
craziness. If you were to look back in time, what hypothetical for you? Have a time machine. You go back in time and meet yourself a couple days after graduation. What would you tell yourself? What kind of advice would you give yourself, knowing all the things you've been through and seen and done?
I would tell a couple of things. I would say like never stop learning marketing. Go hard in learning like the best marketers. So go read those books. I would also say create something. So like create a blog, create a podcast, create um, something as a side hustle
Yeah.
to just learn, just create.
Okay.
I would also third, I would say work on my copywriting. I think it's like one of the most hidden skills that you can have. So I would say like just continually work on your copywriting. And I would have told myself to build a LinkedIn audience then. Like I would have
Yeah.
gone back and
Start
say,
now.
hey, start now. I I think at that time I was kind of like intimidated by like these big names and like other people who I thought were I still think they're super smart people, but once you realize like a lot of people are like the same as you, like they're just human, it becomes a lot less scary when producing stuff.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of things I would say, and also I would say just don't take a job for money. Just take a job to learn from someone, like someone a great marketer. Like find like a company with like someone that you can be mentored by. I think that was like a key to what my growth. I know there's a lot and packed in there, but there's a lot of things I would tell myself.
Well, yeah. So I'll make sure I'll book you off some time on the time machine and get you there. It's always good to think about that kind of stuff. Look back and just take a second to breathe and think about what you've learned along the way.
hmm I definitely do like think of things that, but I still like always people say like I wish I did this in my 20s. I don't think like
Hmm.
or my like I think like I don't think changing your like if I thought of like in my 20 like 18 or my 22-year-old self, I think I probably wouldn't have listened as much as I would have like
Right.
so like even if I told myself that advice, I probably would have been like kind of skeptical about like what I'm saying. So I think like I just enjoy the ride. I think like I think people should be doing this stuff, and if they don't, like they're gonna miss out on opportunities. But my 22-year-old self probably would have been like stubborn and not
Hmm.
listened as hard. Which I did some of those stuff, but not as at the scale I'm doing now.
Right. Right. Makes sense, man. Makes sense. Well, it's just steps along the way, just that's how it works, man. Do you still do anything football related? Do you like coach anything now or?
No, I mean, I think I might want to coach later down the line. Football was really fun. I think it was fun at the high school level because it takes the pressure off like the business side of it.
Yeah.
College is so stringent, like money's involved. It's a lot of like jobs are on the line. Like there's a lot going on.
Hmm.
Like high school is like it's fun. Like it's like not as much pressure unless you're trying to go play college football. Like, but it's
Right.
not as much pressure. And I think like if I would say my best time playing football was probably in high school. Like I think like college was fun. I had a lot of fun playing in college, but like Friday night, nothing like Friday Night Lights. Mhm.
Yeah, I could see it like just the higher up you go, just the more intense and but the whole point is you did it because it was fun,
Mhm.
did it ever get to the point where it wasn't fun anymore and you're just kind of
Hell yeah, it was. It
yeah,
started being not fun at all. That's why I stopped. Like I think
yeah,
like I realized waking up every day, like I just did not enjoy doing it. And a football player has to be, it's like a special breed of something. One, you got to have, and just in anything in life, you have to have intense passion if you want to keep playing. Um, Two, it's like you, something has to be like, you have to get motivation something to hit people all the time. Like, it's like you're like when, especially as an offensive lineman like me, it's like you got to get angry, like, and you have to find that anger all the time. And some people have that built in them; they can do it
yeah,
like more than others. Like,
messed up childhood and they're just like angry.
no, a lot of people come from hard backgrounds.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I'm not even. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not even. Yeah, it's real. Yeah.
yeah.
But did you find that? I mean, you seem like a pretty chill guy. Did you
I
find
think
that?
I the way reason I was better at football than some people is because I just used outsmarted a lot of people in the football
Okay.
field. I was fast, like that's why probably I got my like scholarship, and I was pretty strong, but like I definitely like knew like football, like my football IQ like was pretty good. So like I knew like positioning of like defensive linemen. Like I knew like what they were gonna do. Like I studied them to see like what moves they would do in different downs. Like
Mm,
so I kind of like went in there like with like my own competitive advantage where like even though I was not stronger than like I knew where they were gonna be. Like I knew where how fast I needed to get there. Like I knew what I just needed to do to like get the play like block that person. So I
hmm.
think like it all came down to like learning, being an expert at like football. And I think like that's why people play longer. Like I think like the best players in football like have the best football IQ. Like it's not this. I've seen someone the strongest player or like the fastest player not be the best football player just because they don't understand like football. They don't understand taking care of their body. They don't understand like
Mm,
um, angles and placement and all that good stuff.
right, right. You know, has that helped your? You play Madden?
Yeah, I play Madden.
Does it help you?
I haven't played for like a year or so, but it
Okay.
helps me a lot because I know plays, so I know like
Right.
what down. Like I know, I think like a football player, so like I know like the first couple like first down you're supposed to get a couple of yards, and then second down get another couple of yards, and then go for, like be closer to the third down instead of like the or like and then do that a couple of times and do a play action, and then like
Oh, interesting.
there's things like a lot of people go play Madden and say, okay, I'm gonna run like four verts and like let's go like throw the ball to my
Yeah.
the best receiver down the way.
Right.
Um,
Right. I was playing Madden. My brother's always beating me, so I was like, I need to get an edge. So I got this book, Take Your Eye Off the Ball. It was basically like intro to football for people who never played it, because I was like, oh
mhm.
man, the people, if you played it, you would just know. And like figuring out what covers, what's the coverage? I don't know. I'm looking at it, I have no idea what it is. It's this book was in between because it was like, okay, I know 6 points, I know 1 point, I know 3 points. I'm like a fan, but I also don't need a book on like the extreme side of like all the different plays, whatnot. I need kind of in the middle. So it was kind of teaching me some of the stuff in the middle so I could outsmart my opponent when I was playing him.
Yeah, you should like. I mean, it's really like, especially defensive side of the ball. It's like you got to know like when to stack the box and when to not stack the box, when to
Mm,
like be like man covered versus like zone, like know how many people to be in the zone. Like there's like a lot of when to blitz and when to not to blitz. Like there's a
right.
lot of things like that
I
go
feel like you
into
could teach a course and a podcast on these things. I would listen. You'd have one
it.
listener.
I think some people already talk about football
Do
on
they?
podcast, or they should. Like it's like
Yeah.
um, it's definitely it's definitely there's more that goes behind the scenes of one football game than people think. Like it's crazy. Like there's a lot of work put in. It's 9 months of work for like 12 to 16 games. So it's like
Yeah. Do you
uh,
watch the Hard Knock show? Have you seen that?
yeah, I love that show.
I love it too. It's like literally my favorite TV show other than Cops. But but yeah, it's something. But like, it was eye opening to even see like preseason games, which normally I'm like, this is stupid. Like, who cares? We're always gonna lose because we're just trying to try out people. But to realize the preseason games for the guys that don't have a spot on the roster yet, it is their maybe 4 plays or 1 play to prove themselves or not or fail. And they've got like kids at home and they've got families and they're all there's like a 100 and something and they got to boil it down to 53 or something. It's like,
Yeah,
man,
they used to always say in football, you're only as good as your last play.
yeah,
So if you do bad your last play, you can get cut. So
right.
like what's cool about football, I think, is like
It's
your
crazy.
your resume is on film. Like they
Yeah.
every play is on film. So like you have to, and that's where it comes down to the same thing as content, right? It's consistency, right? The
Yeah.
best football players are consistent every, like they can, like they used to grade us like every game in football. So
Wow.
like if you came out like 80 to 90% like doing your job, like you were those are the best players. Like they consistently like did their job, like did it well.
Hmm.
And they showed up every day and did that. And I think people, it builds trust, it builds like this, like you can rely on that person next to you because you know they're going to do their job.
Yeah.
And I think that separates like good players versus great players is like consistency. Like like Tom Brady's going to come out and like consistently perform, where
Right.
um you don't know, like um I don't, let's like name a crappy quarterback out there. This I don't know. We want to name
I've been the
name
Patriots
five.
so long. I don't know what
Yeah.
to say to that, but
There's a bunch of different quarterbacks that will come out and like Jameis Winston, for example, like
okay.
will come out and like one day game he will have his bet like the best game of his life. The next day he will like fail, like, and
Right.
it's
I
like
feel like it's so many interceptions. You're like, what just happened? Yeah.
yeah. So like the consistent players like come out every day and perform, and that's why they get paid. That's why they do what they do, and I think it translate well in like work life too. Like if you
Hmm.
consistently show up and do your job and like do it well, like people start trusting in you. Like content too, consistently show up, write good content,
Hmm.
do it every day, like you'll like gain trust, you'll build an audience, you'll like, so all boils down to being
Right.
consistently good. um
Consistently good.
you don't have to
Yeah.
be consistently perfect, you just have to be consistently good.
Yeah. Ties it all back into the beginning. You just LinkedIn, marketing, all that, just consistently good. Yeah.
Hmm.
Right on, man. Where can people connect with you? They want to reach out. They want to become another follower like myself of you on LinkedIn.
um
One of your
Daniel Murray,
13,000 followers.
yeah, Daniel Murray on LinkedIn is probably where I'm the most active. And then I have a Twitter. I just kind of started posting on Twitter. I wasn't a big Twitter fan, but now I'm becoming a little bit of a Twitter fan, but
Hmm.
don't really have a big following. But Demer68 there. So DMURR68. And then my podcast is going to be launching soon. So I hope you guys check that out. The Marketing Millennials, which is
Yeah.
going to be fun.
Yeah. We'll definitely do that. We'll link to it from the show notes and all that stuff, man. Well, dude, this has been fun. You have to keep me in the
Yes,
loop. I'll check out the show and let's stay in touch. And I'll be watching your stuff and commenting and look forward to learning from you some more on LinkedIn.
you as well.
Right on, right on. So for those people listening, if you learned something, and I know you did, because I literally have 2 pages of notes over here, or one page, front and back. There it is. Then share this with someone. Be a thought leader. LinkedIn's the place. Daniel's the guy. What you do, but you don't just post it, but share what you learned, your takeaways, and then tag him, tag me. We'll have a conversation. That's how you do it. Learn from this guy. Follow him on LinkedIn. And yeah, man. Hey, thanks again, Daniel. Appreciate it, dude. You're the man. And thanks again.
Thank you.
All right. Those people listening, this has been the Hardcore Marketing Show. We will catch you all next time.